Hello again, in this instalment of Spiritual Wisdom. I'm grateful to all of you for me here and to have this little community here on YouTube. And if you've been here before, welcome back. I hope you're doing well. And if you're new here, welcome. I hope you're doing well. My name is Nicholas, and on my channel I talk about witchcraft, Wicca, paganism, self-love, crystals and their magical properties, and all matter of philosophical and spiritual topics. So if you're interested in those type of things, you know what to do. Please subscribe, join this amazing community, and click the bell icon to be notified each time I post a new video. And this is a safe place if you're practicing witch, Wiccan, pagan, or whatever spiritual path you may be on, because there's no right or wrong spiritual path. There's just the path that's right for you, the individual. Now today, what I'm going to be talking about is thinking for yourself. This is so important in life, to always think for yourself. And it's really the key to becoming wise, because what a wise person does is they listen to other people's opinions, perspectives, they listen to everyone, but then they make their own mind up. You know, many, for example, in my case, I've always been interested in religion and spirituality. But with a lot of religions and spirituality, you tend to see a common theme with most religions, not all, because in Buddhism they don't necessarily believe in a higher power, but in most religions and most spiritual belief systems, there's a belief in a higher power. Different cultures, different religions will say what that higher power is. For me, I do believe there's a higher power in the universe that created all life. And for me, that higher power is no true name or face but we as human beings know it by, just it comes to us in a form that makes sense to us. Now that is my perspective, and to me this higher power, it's like, the way I look at it, it's like a great ball of energy. It's like an onion. It's got many layers, many different aspects to it. It is divinity. It's the universe, it's divinity, it's God itself, and part of that energy is feminine, and all the different goddesses are beings in their own right, but they represent that feminine divine energy. And then all the different gods, they're beings in their own right, but they represent that masculine energy. Now that's my thoughts, that's my perspective. For someone walking the Catholic path or the Christian path, they may believe for them the higher power is Yahweh or it's God, and they believe in the Holy Trinity Spirit. So it's so important in life to always find out what you think for yourself as well. When it comes to the Scottish referendum, which was a political matter, and it's also about people's thoughts and views, there are a lot of Scottish people who believed that Scotland would be better off if it was an independent country. That was their thought, that was their perspective. And that was their perspective. Then there'd be a lot of Scottish people who believe that Scotland should remain part of the UK because it'd be better off. And for the most part, when people think about this, they don't think it would give the illusion, but you can't be in the fence here, there's no middle ground, but they are. Some people were in the middle ground and they were like, rather we go independent or rather we stay the same, it's not going to really change anything if we, and what's going to happen is going to happen, rather we vote on it or not. That would be some people's way of thinking, some people's perspective. And in life it's so important to think for yourself, because we live in this world where people tell you who you should be as a person, what you should think and what you should be. That's the type of word, and that's what society teaches you. Society teaches you who you should be, who should you be as a person. Society teaches that. They teach you what you should want, what you should want for yourself, how you should think and how you should conduct your life. And society is made up of family, friends, but also the outer world and the collective viewpoints and beliefs that we as a collective species have together. Now society isn't all bad, but there are aspects of society are bad. And when you learn to think for yourself, you break free of validation, you break free of approval, and you break free of, and also when you start focusing on what you think and let go of caring what other people think, you become more free. And Epictetus, who was a great philosopher, said, "He who is not in control of himself is not free." And I would agree with Epictetus, but I would also add something different to that and say, well, he who does not think for himself is not free. And that's why a lot of deep philosophers, they do listen to other people. They love to talk deeply about the world, about other, about love, about romance. They love to talk about religion, spirituality. They love to think about things, and philosophers ask the questions that no one is willing to ask, and they think very deeply about things. And a lot of clever and intelligent people, they love being alone. They love solitude. So they love to spend time in nature, alone by themselves, doing deep thinking. Or if they had a study, they would spend time doing deep thinking in their study as well. So like people like Albert Einstein, yes, he loved sharing his ideas and thoughts, and he met like-minded people, but he also loved his solitude and being alone and thinking deeply about things. And it's so important in life not to, because if you don't think for yourself and the world tells you what to think and you just follow it, you become a sheep. You become a sheep. That's what you become. And then you become lost in the crowd. That's what happens. If you don't think for yourself, you become lost in the crowd. That's what happens as well. Now, in this world, when it comes to like a public figure, someone is famous, there's going to be a lot of people who love that person and adore that person. And there's going to be people that don't like that person, But and the people, like, for example, the people with, regardless of, what type of world we're in, there's always going to be someone who's in the spotlight and the majority of people don't like them. Because no matter what you do in life, you're going to be criticised. But that's why it's so important, if you are in the public eye, not to follow other people, to think for yourself and do what feels right in your heart and soul. That is so important as well. And that's the way I live my life, where I think for myself and I always do what feels right in my heart and soul. I always listen to my inner voice, my intuition as well. And as I've always said, the only validation you really need as a spiritual person is your own validation and your spirit guide's validation, because they want to help you and they want to see you grow and evolve as a person. And it's so important to like think for yourself. One example, like sometimes in life, this is my thought process. You may agree with me, and if you do, share your thoughts or comments in the section. You may disagree with me, and that's absolutely fine. But like, someone can be a great artist, but not a great person. Okay? So, for example, I think J.K. Rowling is a great artist, but I don't think she's a great person, and I'll get to why that is. Like, yes, I love the Harry Potter books. I think she's got a great mind. I watched the movies first. I've got the books, and I'm slowly reading each book as well. As I'm dyslexic, it takes me, a long time to finish a book. But, I do love taking my time with a book and working with it. But as a person, she's not very nice, because, I do watch the news time to time, and I was like hearing like news articles about her, and then I was doing some of my own research about things she was saying. And the reason why she's not a great person is because the trans community has got a lot of hate towards it already. And her being an influential person, someone with power, someone that's got influence, she could educate people and be a force of support for the trans community. But all she does is send hate to the trans community. And also, she is homophobic in her own way as well, so she's got some homophobic views as well. Now, when you hear that about a famous person, you're either going to go, yes, Nicholas, I agree with your points of view because I've done my own research, I've heard this as well, and I agree that she is quite transphobic and homophobic, so I think the same as you. And okay, that's fine. You may also go, I love J.K. Rowling, I think she's a lovely, nice person. I don't think she is homophobic or transphobic. You might take what she says in a different way, and that's absolutely fine. But because bear in mind, my intention is not to make you like. I'm not here to be liked. I don't do this to be liked. I do it to help people. and my intention is to share knowledge and wisdom. And my intention is not even to throw dirt on J.K. Rowling. My intention was to show the message here, which, when it comes to a person and a public figure, right, everyone thinks different about them. And it's important to make up your own mind, you know. And once you know your own mind, you've made up your mind. Yes, you can change your mind. Like, if I've got evidence and proof, like, I might think something is a certain way, and then if I get proof and evidence to show what things are quite a different way, then I'll think about things in a different way. But in my life, there's some things I believe very strongly, and I think very strongly, and because I know what I think, that thought won't change. And my thought about J.K. Rowling being transphobic, homophobic, that won't change, because that is my thought. I really think, you know, and I think it's really sad what she's done, because someone like her could use her power and influence for good, but rather than spread love, awareness, and help people who are help a minority group. She could help minority groups, but rather than do that, she's already fueling the fire, because there's hatred towards the LGBT community, and she's just throwing fire. She's just throwing petrol onto the hatred and the fire and the ignorance which is already there. Now, that's my thought, my perspective. Other people may have another thought, another perspective, but it's so important in life to think for yourself, as well. Always think for yourself, you know, and make up your own mind about things. Because if you don't control your mind, then you're just a puppet in someone else's game. You're just following the crowd, you know. You're just following the crowd. And as a good spiritual teacher, you know, as someone who helps people through doing readings, through doing energy healing, and for doing YouTube, my intention is to share spiritual knowledge to help people. A lot of occult leaders, they don't want you to think for yourself. They'll tell you what their beliefs are, what their ideas are, and they want you to blindly follow what they believe in. And a lot of occult leaders, they don't like questions, because they don't like people who ask too many questions. Because if you're asking questions, then you're thinking deeply about what you're being told. And they just want people to blindly follow what they're being told. Whereas me, I'm an eclectic pagan witch, and I have a deep love for spirituality. And I don't agree with being occult leaders, or that is a very horrible thing to be involved in. To, you know, be in an occult situation, very traumatic, very horrible to be in. But what breaks you free from anything like that in life, but breaks you free from falling victim into being part of an occult, or being under someone else's thumb, is thinking for yourself. You know, being true to what you truly think. And if someone gives you knowledge and information, you've got to do your own research, your own research about something. Like, as I've said on the channel, I spoke about goddess Hecate, and I've said, like, she's an ancient Greek goddess. Now, don't take my word for it. If you go on Google or Wikipedia, you'll find that out, which she is an ancient Greek goddess of magic, witchcraft. You'll find that out for yourself, because you've done your own research. You'll find out. And also, you may also find out that though she's associated with Greece, her origins go much further than Greece. It's the same if I spoke about tigers, I spoke about turquoise on the channel. And this is just a beautiful piece of turquoise. And me and my partner were in Glasgow, and he got me this beautiful piece of turquoise. I'm just so grateful. And this is the one stone I've been working with its energy. And like, I struggle with sleep a lot, but see, when I hold this crystal in my left hand, it's really been helping me sleep as well. And turquoise is described as a lucky stone, and there's a lot of information about it, but you're only going to know if that's true for you if you meditate with it and you connect with its energy. That way you've felt the energy of turquoise, you've got an experience with it, therefore you know what someone else thinks about it is either going to be true for you or not. As well, it's the same like with tea. Like, I find mint tea, what I've got here, what I've got to me, because I've worked with mint is a herb of the mind, and it's very good for your mind, and it's very good, it helps with communication, and it's got a lot of health benefits as well. And I think it's a very good tea that helps with your sleep and improves your health as well. And I think it's a beautiful tea. But some people will go, nah, I don't like the taste of mint, it's not really for me. And even if they did try it for medicinal reasons, it doesn't do that for them, because that's not how they see it or think about it. So my message here in life is to always think for yourself, always. Because people are going to tell you this, that and the next thing. It's the same with Brexit. I'm going to leave it here with Brexit. And now, I'm a very spiritual person, but I also have an interest in politics, and I think everything in life has something to teach us. Even a fictional book, because even a fictional book was made up, there's seeds of truth in it. Like Heartstoppers, beautiful fictional book, there's 5 books, but there are a lot of lessons about it, about love, and it teaches you a lot about the LGBT community. But when it comes to Brexit, a lot of people thought that Brexit was a great thing, where it would make the UK a better country to live in, a better place. A lot of people were on that camp. That was their thought, that was their process. That is the conclusion they came to because of their research and their studying. That was their conclusion. And they tried to convince other people, if we all voted for Brexit, where it would be, where the country would be a better place. But on the other hand, there were people who done their research, their thoughts, and they thought, no, us leaving Brexit would be the worst thing we could do, and it would leave the UK with more problems and make the UK a lot worse. And well, from my perspective, I was on the left camp at the time, where I thought Brexit would be a good thing. I didn't vote for it, but I did think it would be a good thing. But I didn't really have a say in the matter. I didn't really put my opinion forward or that. But now looking back, Brexit is not a good thing. There will still be people who are on the Brexit camp, who think Brexit's the best thing that's happened since sliced bread. That's their thoughts, that's their ideas. And there's going to be a lot of people who used to think Brexit would be a good thing. Then when Brexit happened, they realised that they made the wrong decision, the wrong vote, but it didn't make this country better the way they thought it would. So sometimes people's thoughts and ideas will change, but it's so important to think for yourself as well. And a good friend of mine, they were part of the NSP party, and they tried to get their grandfather to vote NSP, but he voted Labour all his life, because he thought Labour was the right party for this country, the best country. And he had this NSP, the grandson had a bit of an argument, but he didn't change his views. He stayed true to his thoughts and his ideas. So the grandfather was wise, where the son was foolish. It's wise to share your ideas with people, your beliefs, and tell them why you think this, why you believe that, if you're talking to the right people. But never try and force your beliefs and ideas onto others, because it's a waste of time and energy. And I'm also telling you that from personal experience, and I'll talk about why it's a waste of time and energy in a later video. But my message here in this video is to really encourage you to think for yourself, because people, especially when you're on a spiritual path, people are going to tell you all types of things. Like some spiritual people, I'm one of them, but you might not. There's also spiritual people who don't think this way. Like, I believe that dragons were once physical creatures that lived among us, and we had a deep connection and a deep respect for dragons, but then we as humans broke that bond, that connection we had with dragons, and then dragons chose to leave this world and return to their higher spiritual realms, and leaving no trace of their existence as well. The only existence we would have of them would be in our thoughts and our memories, that's it, and the stories about them. But there's also some spiritual people that go, dragons are spiritual beings that exist, but they never existed as an actual animal, as an actual being. Some spiritual people think that, and that's absolutely fine. So we're not going to, me and the spiritual people believe dragons never existed as actual beings. I'm not going to agree with them, but I'm going to respect their thoughts and their opinions, and I would ask that they respect my thoughts and opinions. So we've all got different ideas at the end of the day, different thoughts, and it's beautiful to explore different thoughts, different ideas, but at the end of the day, you should always think for yourself, and that's the message I've got here, and I hope it helps. I hope it brings some guidance, because when you don't think for yourself, you get lost in the crowd. That's what happens to you, and you become a sheep in someone else's game. That's what happens. So until next time, stay well, stay safe, walk your spiritual path with pride, and if you're practicing witch like me, stay witchy. May meet, may part, meet again. Blessed be.